Hello and welcome back to Burning Questions. My name is Mbali, and today on this episode of Burning Questions, we have Gabriel Crouse. Gabriel, thank you so much for taking your time to join us on this episode.
Thank you, Mbali. Very happy to be here.
Cool Ziz. Alrighty, let's get into today's question. So today's question is, who's most likely to win the November local government elections? So guys, we know the elections are going to be on the 1st of November. Hope everyone is registered to vote. So yeah, Gabriel, who's most likely to win the November local government elections?
Short answer, the ANC. Longer
Ish,
answer, it
ish,
depends what you mean by win.
ish. Wait, let's go back to that. Okay. That just broke my heart, but okay, we know that's the reality.
That's the reality. So what do you mean by win? It's important to remember, as we argue to the Constitutional Court, or reminded the court because they already know this,
Yeah.
that it's not in fact one election, that there are thousands of elections taking place. Each ward, each municipality, that's its own election. That's why you have to vote in the place that you're registered. You can't go traveling and then expect your vote to be covered. It's not like national elections.
Yeah.
It is literally thousands of different elections. There are many municipalities, there are many wards, there are many districts and many metros where the ANC is unlikely to win. We don't have good polling on what's going to happen in Cape Town. Most likely the DA will take it. What's going to happen in Pietermaritzburg, Nelson Mandela Bay? I think that no one really has good enough polling to know what's going to happen there. It's going to be exciting to see. The same for Tshwane, the same for Joburg. Most likely in Joburg, no one will get a majority, and we'll see some coalitions formed, although we could be surprised. In terms of the national outlook, I think the big question is whether the ANC is going to drop below 50% or not. So in a sense, winning means getting a majority. In a sense, winning means getting more than everyone else, even if you have a minority. So the ANC will clearly get more than anyone else, but will it lose its majority status? The ANC already lost its majority status in the sense of, do most adults vote for it years ago? By the last national election, only 1 in 4 people voted for the ANC. But because 2 in 4 people didn't vote, that meant the other 1 in 4 was voting for the split opposition. So the ANC got just over 50%. So the ANC is already a minority party, but it's getting most of the votes. On the trajectory, going through municipal elections or going through national elections, if it sticks to its past pattern of decline, then it should drop below 50%. But Ramaphosa has turned that around. Our polling shows that he is far more popular than the ANC and far more popular than any other politician in the country. We won't get into the reasons. The point is, as long as he's with the party, it helps them. So will that help them from falling below 50%? There's the magic question. Now, our polling had them on 50%.
Is this the IRR or which polling?
Yes, this polling was actually commissioned by the Center for Risk Analysis, but that's in the IRR family, much like that.
Yes, definitely. All right.
So they had them on 50%. We have a margin of error, or plus and minus 4%. So that means it could be anywhere between 46 and 54. Part of what's going to depend on is turnout. A lot of ANC voters are showing a lot of reasons not to turn out. They don't want to vote for any other party, but they're not happy with the ANC because the potholes are there instead of roads. The water comes on weekdays, not on weekends. The electricity.
And that time it's the ANC. I remember I saw a poster where the ANC was like, we're going to fix potholes, we're going to fix the water. And that time it's literally close to a road that's falling apart. And I'm like, interesting. I'd love to see how you guys do that.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of advertising and not a lot of action.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that the scandals re-emerging today on the news, for example, of another stadium where over, not tens of billions, but more than 10 million is spent, and then
I think they said 15 million.
15 million.
15 million. It was very interesting. It was a very interesting image. I wish I had the image now, but I think most people have seen it. And it's literally just grounds that are just empty. And the tracks, you can't really see the tracks where people are supposed to run on. I feel like they were just painted with white paint that'll probably wear off when it rains someday.
Yes. No, that's it. It was 15 million rands worth of one line of white paint. And I've been to, and some of those projects are provincial and national, but some of those projects really are municipal projects. I remember once driving around Schweizer when it was a hotspot for a sort of racial allegation that turned out to be false.
Okay.
And I went looking through the town. There was the municipal office had burnt down a year before, and no reconstruction, no efforts at anything.
Nothing.
People just stopped showing up to work. The papers, it was just an ash heap. They didn't try. In the meanwhile, the fanciest car in town was a Ferrari parked outside of the fire station that allegedly belongs to one of the sort of administrators in the fire department. There was a new library that was amazing and huge and had no books, and many sports cars parked outside of that. So I think people see where the money goes.
Yeah.
And it's not going to the right places. So people are not excited by the opposition. We see sort of adults over the age of 45, very little enthusiasm for the EFF. Once you get over 60, no enthusiasm for the EFF in any race group or any other category. Some youngsters are keen on the EFF. The DA's had a sort of bit of a clumsy finish to its election campaigning, which might mean some people who are thinking about it stay away. Could have very dire consequences for the current leadership and so for, I think, the new direction that the party took since 2019. But in short, one of the questions are going to be ANC loyalists who aren't going to vote for the opposition. Are they going to stay away? If too many of them that do that, then the ANC drops below 50. If, on the other hand, they manage to bring out the loyalists, bring out the believers, the new dawners, say, guys, we've messed up many times, but this time, for serious. It's for serious.
They've been saying this for so many years.
It could work. So my projection is that the ANC drops below 50. I have them projected at, I think, 48. 48. And I think that at a national level,
too ambitious. I literally said 40. I said 45.5.
Yeah, you might know better than me. We'll see. But I think that the headline story in Mbali, if they drop below 50, they can't say this thing of "we will rule until Jesus comes." And it's important not to underestimate the extent to which popularity breeds popularity. So once they lose that, they're going to have to start campaigning in a different way. It'll also mean that there are less politicians that have been corrupted in the ANC that have access to government funds. And the ones who still do are therefore going to compete more heavily. That could bring out some more faction fighting, which would be interesting to see how that plays out. But to finish off back where we started, at the grassroots, it matters very much whether your local councillor, your ward councillor, your PR representative, the people representing you in the municipality, whether their job is to take as much as they can and do as little as they can, which you can get very clever like that. People can be very good at that job, or whether their job is to serve your interests. This is an occasion in which every South African is the boss, and we're having an interview process, and we're going to decide who we hire. And I think that people need to exercise, they need to feel that responsibility. You've got a bit of power here, and that comes with a bit of responsibility. Think seriously about what you're looking for, what the results have been, what the patterns are, and where your interests can be served in a decent and healthily growing South Africa.
Yeah, definitely. Alrighty, Gabriel. Let us go into the quote of the day, which very much speaks to what you just spoke about people having taking responsibility for themselves. So this quote card comes from Ben Carson, and it reads, "We've been conditioned to think that only politicians can solve our problems, but at some point, maybe we will wake up and recognize that it was politicians who created our problems." So what are your thoughts, your 2 cents on this quote? And I think it definitely does tie in with what you were saying just now.
Yeah, I think it's true. I think that there's a terrible thing where the government makes a mistake, a company makes a mistake, and then it goes out of business, or it finds a way to solve the mistake. A government makes a mistake, and then it just charges more taxes.
Yeah, that is true.
On the other hand, so I encourage the do-it-yourself, tend your own garden, guard your family, grow your community, grow trust where you can see people and you can press their flesh. I think that is fundamentally important. There's your best government in the world is not going to produce or provide the framework for a healthily growing country if people don't get their act together at a grassroots level. On the other hand, sometimes there's a temptation to think, you know what, politics is so messy. Let me just ignore it and charge forth in my own direction.
Yeah.
And the problem is, then you charge forth, you make 4 steps forward, and then you hit a brick wall. And that wall was put there by a government, and that can be ruinous. You need to do both. You need to tend your own garden. You also need to visit the public square and make sure that the framework for all of our gardens is a wall that can be protected, is something robust. So in terms of problems created by politicians, if I could say one thing, when you vote on November 1st, just remember that a politician called Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma didn't want you to vote.
Yeah.
She thought it's too dangerous. You don't know how to vote. You must rather wait 6 months or many years. Doesn't matter. You're not good enough to vote. That's what she did.
Why would you think that's the first time actually I'm hearing about that? I'm hacked.
So when she declared the election, she did so prematurely before registrations had taken place. So she didn't want people to register either. But then her explanation, in effect, was that she wants the election to be postponed. So if she's declaring it in a bad way, then that'll help the courts to say, no, this thing's not going to work. Let's do it next year. Let's do it when coronavirus is gone, which is most likely never to happen. So we can have the election when Jesus comes. That was the move she was making. And we were the first to challenge her. We said that this is irrational, unconstitutional, invalid, unacceptable voter suppression. This is trying to steal the vote. And the Constitutional Court agreed with us. They said that it's irrational and invalid. And they took it away. And that reopened the door to voting according to the constitutional deadline. So when you go there and you're thinking which politicians on your side, politicians that don't want you to vote are not on your side.
Are definitely not on your side. Definitely. That is a good one. Alrighty, Gabriel. Thank you so much for helping me answer this question. And you at home, I hope this question was answered and that you go out on the 1st of November and vote for the party that doesn't think that you're not good enough to vote, okay? Otherwise, guys, catch us on Facebook, YouTube, and IGTV every day at 6 p.m. And remember, your freedom is worth fighting for.